Facsimile number 1. Joseph Smith said that facsimile number 1 was a quote-unquote a bird as the angel of the Lord with Abraham fastened upon an altar being offered up as a sacrifice by a false priest.
Read on.
The pots under the altar were various gods, Elkanah, Libnah, Mamakra, stuff I can't pronounce, Korash, Pharaoh, etc. Yeah, it does say Pharaoh. In reality, this is an embalming scene showing the deceased lying on a lion couch. Continuing on. In the original papyri, this drawing is attached to hieroglyphics. We're going to see figure A for a second, from which Joseph Smith derived the beginning of the book of Abraham, which begins with the words, "In the land of the Chaldeans, at the residence of my father, I, Abraham, saw it was needful for me to obtain another place of residence." In reality, the hieroglyphics translates as, "Osiris shall be conveyed into the great pool of Konos, and likewise Osiris Hor, justified, born in Tikhibit, or Tikhibite, I'm trying my best here, y'all. Justified after his arms have been placed on his heart, and the breathing permit which Isis made, and has writing on his inside and outside, has been wrapped in royal linen and placed under the left arm near his heart. The rest of the mummy bandages should be wrapped over it. The man for whom this book was copied will breathe forever and ever, as the boss of the gods do." It is the opening portion of an Egyptian Shait en Senzin, or Book of Breathings, a late funerary text that grew out of the a late funerary text. That's interesting. That grew out of the earlier and more complex Book of the Dead, or for my African brothers and sisters, the Book of the Coming Forth by Night and Day. This particular scroll was prepared as determined by handwriting, spelling, content, etc. Sometime during the late Ptolemaic period or early Roman period, and that's the 50 BC to 50 AD. So, first of all, from paleographic and historical considerations, the Book of Breathings papyrus can reliably be dated around 60 AD. Much too late for Abraham to have written it. Way after Abraham and that Pharaoh brother were both born and died off. Of course, it could be a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of the original written by Abraham. However, a second problem arises. When one compares the text of the Book of Abraham, being Joseph Smith's published book that you can buy today, with the translation of the Book of Breathings, the book Joseph Smith made his translations from without himself knowing he was translating a book called the Book of Breathings in the first place.
Did everybody understand that? Everybody got that, right? Okay, so now, let's go from there, and we're going to see what this is all about.
I need another read on. I need another one.
Read on!
Thank you. They clearly are not the same. Enemies of the Mormon Church have noted this, and without considering any other facts, have assumed that this proves the prophet's translation to be false. Let's take a look. Figure A. Figure A is a professional reconstruction of the original figure B. Note on the hieroglyphs on the right side, from which Joseph Smith began his translation of the Book of Abraham. In actuality, it depicts the mythical embalming and resurrection of Osiris, Egyptian god of the underworld. And what they mean by resurrection is, that means when he was dead, they revived him back to the underworld. That don't mean he came back to earth and, you know, sort of being king and all that. No. You know, their kind of resurrection, I guess if you want to call it, was you know, him getting back to the underworld. So he was just a spirit going back to where spirits dwell. Anyway, Osiris was slain by his jealous brother Set, who cut him up into 16 pieces and scattered him. I know y'all know this. The jackal-headed god Anubis is shown embalming the body of Osiris on the traditional lion-headed couch so that he might come back to life. Quote, Figure B. Figure B, to the right, shows a reprint of the actual papyrus used by Joseph Smith. Note the areas where the papyrus has been lost. It is in these that Joseph Smith finished, quote-unquote, the drawing, resulting in facsimile number 1. His restoration, according to Egyptologists, reveals a complete lack of understanding of Egyptian practice and theology. Not surprising. Brother's born in 1800s and he ain't never been in Egypt. Anyway. Facsimile number 2.
Read on!
As is explained by Joseph Smith and included in the Pearl of Great Price, the second drawing contains different scenes which Joseph Smith interpreted. They vary. Kolob, signifying the first creation, nearest to the celestial or the residence of God, stands next to Kolob, called by Egyptians Aliblish. That's funny. Which is the next grand governing creation, near to the celestial or the place where God resides. God sitting upon his throne, clothed with power and authority. Quote, this is one of the governing planets also, and is said by the Egyptians to be the sun, and borrow its light, to borrow its light from Kolob through the medium of K.E. Van Rash, which is the grand key. Quote. But again, scholarship disagrees with Joseph's rendition. Quote, it is actually a rather common funerary amulet termed by Hypocephalius. Please, I hope I said that right. So-called. Because it was placed under hypo, a mummy's head, Cephalius. Its purpose was to magically keep the deceased warm and to protect the body from desecration by grave robbers. Facsimile number 3. According to Smith, this drawing shows Abraham sitting upon Pharaoh's throne by the politeness of the king, with a crown upon his head, representing the priesthood. King Pharaoh, whose name is given by the characters above his head, signifies Abraham in Egypt, Olimla, a slave belonging to the prince. Quote, but this is not what Egyptologists say is the meaning of facsimile number 3. Instead, it shows the deceased led before Osiris, god of the dead, and behind the enthroned Osiris stands his wife, Isis. Conclusion. It could be quite obvious that the present scholarship has revealed that Joseph Smith did not translate the book of Abraham by the power of God as he had claimed. It follows that if he did not translate the book of Abraham by the power of God, then it would be very easy to conclude that he did not translate the Book of Mormon by the power of God either. When Joseph first gave his translation, hieroglyphics were undecipherable. Today, they are. He was safe in saying what he wanted to, and there would be no way of proving him wrong. But with the resurfacing of the same papyri used to do his Book of Abraham translation, and the fact that he did not in any way do it correctly should be proof enough that Joseph Smith lied about his abilities from God. He has been shown to be a false prophet. So for some really good extensive information on the Book of Abraham, please go to this website right here. And of course, let me put up my references right here. Bam! There go all the references. Y'all read that stuff and you'll find all your answers. Now, I know what y'all thinking. Alright, well, what about the real Abraham? What about him, right? Alright, well, the following actually comes from Sylvia Cochran, entitled Bible 101. It says, Abraham was an extraordinarily important figure in the history of Israel, but also as an example of faith within the Christian writings. How do we know he really lived? How do we know his story was not just made up, a skillful story of one man's journey for God and all the rest? We have tangible evidence that Abraham's birthplace and hometown existed. The Bible says that Abraham was born in the city of Ur. Ur's ruins can now be found in Mesopotamia, southern Iraq. Excavations, most notably by Sir Leonard Woolley, have shown Ur to be a prosperous trade city around 2000 BC. The book of Genesis says that Abraham was the father of Terah, moving his family to Haran, a city in the northwestern portion of Mesopotamia. Excavations have proven that Haran was abandoned around 1800 BC. We have tangible evidence placing Abraham in the same locations at the time stated. A discovery made in 1975 in the ancient city of Ebla yields 17,000 clay tablets. These 17,000 clay tablets are called the Ebla tablets. Ebla was a powerful city in what is now Syria, in the region between Mesopotamia and Palestine. On these tablets, a number of names are recorded, including Isaac, Jacob, and Abraham, as well as the names of Abraham's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, being Terah, Nahor, and Sarug. These names are also known from other sources in northwest Mesopotamia in both Babylonian and Old Assyrian texts. Now, I could go on and on, but, you know, I just wanted to hit this and quit it real quick, because I really got to get back to this series. I already did a pit stop. I ain't even mean to do this. So, next time you come with that old stuff, or next time you send me a video response, period, you best have your facts straight, especially y'all. Because, you know, y'all are Rebel Alliance Media, and I hold y'all in a much higher regard, you know, because y'all been on this scene for a minute. But you came with me with this Gnostic, philosophical, liberal scholarship. That's fairy tale stuff, you know, and I've seen y'all's videos before, and they were grounded in more the realm of fact. You know, I seen y'all do some factual stuff, but, you know, y'all took a left turn in that video, you know, the whole I'm Hebrew Israelite video. I mean, it's a real left turn, because unlike y'all, I'm coming with history, carbon dating, original text readings, etc. And again, I repeat, y'all's lucky I'm on this series right now, because I could refute all those claims in part 1 and part 2. And I strongly advise that y'all take it down. Take down the I Am a Black Hebrew Israelite series, because the scholars are a joke. And I'm not being mean when I say that. They don't care about history and real events. These folks got one goal: to end religion by any means necessary. And that is some dangerous, misleading doctrine for y'all's minds to be twisted up and lied to. You know, I'm just keeping it real. So, don't just think you're going to send me a video response or a response video without me sending another one back to you. Because if I can refute it, I will. Christ taught us to do right by all men. But that don't mean every Christian is some non-responsive, historically ignorant punk. Alright, I'm out. Peace, y'all. Peace and blessings. We'll rap again in time, I'm sure. Taza Doc, let's roll.
Read on!